So they've kind of
You want me to fix that clock for you?
taken all the space.
Wait, it's slipped
Oh,
on there.
no.
Oh, I have not, I didn't even think about changing that class.
That's not good. All right, as it is 7 PM, we'll officially call this meeting to order. The council's had an opportunity to review the claims for payment as well as the minutes from last month's meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the minutes and claims.
Motion and second to approve minutes and claims. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. And the land use permit for the ballpark. The building we moved in.
Now, where they're proposing to set the building, meet setbacks, I put the flags out there myself, they know where they can, so it'll be far enough. For
So this is for office and storage? Is that what it's for?
Mike, so basically, the Weiss building is gonna be vacant, so they asked if we wanted it, and what our goal is just to have a Rhode Island Baseball Hall of Fame in there, and then we have a bunch of stuff like trophies and plaques from, like, 2 years ago, we got second in the state. Well, half of this stuff is all at my house, or it's in Merlin's house, or Gunner's house, and that's fine, but someday I'm not gonna be here and we need a place for it to go. So it'd be kind of like uniforms for all the different teams, baseballs, equipment.
So this is something that will be open to the public when there's.
I think there'll be times, yes, and again, there's 2 locked offices, so what I'm thinking of is we're gonna have the stuff that we don't, we need to keep put there, but there'll be an open place where people can come in and maybe like behind something like this, see a complete Rhode Island history of baseball. So that's the main goal of what I see it being. It's not storage. We've got plenty of storage. It's to enhance the overall campus of the baseball facility.
So I know we talked about one time about having some kind of, what am I thinking of, where you could watch the game like a felt, not that, what am I thinking of?
Well, there's-
Balcony thing, or you could-
Yes,
that's
that,
not this.
no, this is just a bit, it's a 24 by 30 building right out on the highway.
Okay.
We're trying to find a facility to make a batting cage or like a field house too. And we're working on that yet, but, this, obviously, we're paying for the cost of the cement work, the dirt work. The city would obviously bring electrical and plumbing to the area. It would be your building, you would own it. Just like you do, it's your property, just like everything else down there. So that would be something you're gonna have to make sure you're okay with. The one idea that one of the board members had is that people that are living in the assisted living facility could come over and spend time looking through scrapbooks and things like that of the history of baseball in Rhode Island. We're also trying to put together Rhode Island Baseball Hall of Fame, so people, Bobby Bone, people like that can get their recognition they deserve for having played for many, many years. So all that stuff will be part of it.
So this will need power and water? Or just
It has a
water?
bathroom in it, and
Yes,
it,
okay.
and so it would need sewer, water, and electrical.
Is there any way, can somebody get us some cost estimates on what the actual cost to the city will be to do this? Water and sewer, what that's gonna cost?
I mean,
Dave, can you do that?
For the sewer and water, you're asking?
Sewer, water, electrical, insurance, maybe? The insurance, we just have to talk to them.
Yeah, so they'll
So we gotta,
obviously have to insure it and
Yeah.
insure it, and that'll raise the cost.
Would the water be shut off in the winter so they don't have to keep it heated?
Those are all decisions that I haven't
Bathrooms, so
even,
I'm guessing
Yeah.
not.
So right now, everything down there, we don't do that. I mean, there's not.
as long as it can be, and that's what the city wants. I mean, obviously, we can close it for the winter. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't, because nobody else, we don't use anything else down
Otherwise, you have to
there.
move snow too if you.
Exactly.
Try and get to it. and-
99% of your traffic is gonna be in the summer anyway. So if we, I mean, who wants to try to trudge through the snow to go? I think it would be fine as long as it doesn't damage the, the facility or the stuff in it, but you'd cool it down to 50,
Weatherized,
yeah, exactly. Dave, you can let me know what you need me to get on and all that stuff.
Alrighty, Deb, did you want me to, on the sewer and water that the city would put in there, do you want me to include, equipment, an estimated equipment hours type?
I just think maybe we need to know so we can, public ask us questions. The city's just putting in the building on their property, what's it and the cost me as a taxpayer. I just think that's important information. I mean,
Mike,
I
what's the
get calls on
timeframe you're
it.
looking at moving this in?
Well, we met down there a few weeks ago. Randy Turstig and one of the Tyne, I believe, movers was gonna move it for and again, we're not asking for any money for that. We'll take care of that cost. They'll move it in, but and Shannon Visser's gonna do the cement work. But
Right, but any plumbing that needs to be
yeah,
put in.
I would,
has to be done before the building
we're at
goes
the
in.
mercy of the board. If you want numbers and before we move forward, we were planning on probably, April. I mean, and I don't mean to misspeak, but I guess we did talk about this and I was under the understanding that we were already okay with this at a past board meeting, but maybe not, and that's fine. We'll get whatever you want.
I just don't recall a conversation about
It's fine.
power and water. Would we be able to gather that before next month's meeting? Would that give you enough time if
I'll do whatever you want me to do.
Not an issue.
is the council okay with that?
Yeah.
Take action on
What,
it.
and Darren, has he looked at the building, our building inspector?
We've sent a permit to him, a building, Dave helped me with that, I don't know, maybe you can,
Tracy's better to answer that
yeah.
one.
What has been submitted to me for the permits for it have been sent to him, however, he does not have all of the information, because he's still waiting on like footings information and stuff like that, and I don't know if he's actually seen the building or inspected that, and I know that's one thing he's gonna want to do also.
Yeah, so we decided we couldn't go on a slab on grade and had to be a footing steel, Mike, if you
Yeah.
remember.
Mm-hmm.
So that information has to be forwarded to him, so.
That's part isn't really in my wheelhouse, so that's whatever you decide.
I think we're gonna need the next 30 days just to get all the ducks in a row and.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
So, I'll just work with Dave and we'll get you whatever you need that way. Just an FYI, we went and bought a new mower. We got an awesome deal on a mower in, Wisconsin and we drove down and picked it up. And we paid, I think it was $6,500 for it. And we managed to sell our old one for more than what we paid for it. So we're not asking for any money. It sounds like you've got your hands full with financial stuff. So we have pretty much a much nicer, better mower that will be able to take care of those facilities for a long time. One other question I have is, and I apologize, Cole Eulenkamp could not be here. They have a basketball game tonight. So he wants to do an Eagle Scout project and build a batting tunnel on the current school's property just east of the JV field. And just for background information, as you know, the city owns basically everything but that JV field now. Cole met with the school and they're building committee. And apparently, for whatever reason, they don't want to own any property and they want to sell it to the city of Bird Island for $1. And then I talked with Tracy about that, and there's an issue with that because of the current grant, that we can't maybe own it, or you can't own it until the grant goes through.
If we were to own it now, we would have to make sure that there would be another facility that we would have to then add the work plans and make sure that it's up to the specs of the grant. ADA compliance and all of that stuff, so as long as that's not part of the city's property, currently, once we get through the grant, then it can be.
So there's a timing
Yeah.
issue with the kid. He needs to have it done by August 1st, which isn't any concern of yours. But, so what the school was proposing is that the city would give them a memorandum of understanding that once the grant is done, then the school would sell you the land for $1. Then they would put it on that property, knowing that they're not gonna have to own it for more than the rest of the year. I don't know why they want to do that. The operating agreement or the joint powers agreement, when I talked to Mr. Menton, he said, why would we want to get out of that? We have a great deal. They get to play on the nicest field in the state, and they don't really have any responsibilities. They just write their check and they're done. So I'm not concerned about that, but if that's something that the board has concern about, is if the school doesn't own any property, you might want to put that somehow in this thing if you want to do it.
So yeah, we have Tracy copied the current joint powers agreement. It would have to be updated
Sure.
to say that and who's gonna be responsible for what, and maybe some kind of time frame so that, you know,
Yeah,
in a year from now, the school decides, no, we don't do that. You know.
well, they wouldn't have a baseball field then, or we could and who knows, maybe they wond't need one, but, yeah, and they've got their own issues to deal with, obviously.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'm wondering if that's something that you wanna do. Again, we're not asking for any money, we're gonna put the whole facility up, it'll enhance at the property and its use and make it, much nicer. It's gonna look very much like the batting cage up in, Spicer on Green Lake Diamonds.
Can we see a diagram before?
He has it all
Oh,
and he can present it to you and I want him to do this. He would be here and be doing this himself, cause it's not my Eagle Scout.
So have him on the agenda, can we reach out to him and have him on the agenda for April?
For next
Would
month.
there be any concerns with ball going in, cause now we've got the splash pad and there's been talk about adding more,
Like
maybe more
playground
playground
equipment in
type
that
facility
same-
in that area.
Area.
So
So-
the tunnel, no, that's probably the safest place there is. We were gonna have 3 batting stations and we can have those set up so that they'll be hitting towards the JV field. And so there'll be no batting at all. So if you're familiar with what happens is the net is about 15 feet high and 15 feet wide and it's 80 feet long. It'll all be cemented out with AstroTurf, but then on the east side, it'll go out 8 feet so that there'll be 3 places where people can do soft toss drills or hit off the tees into the net, but they'll be hitting away from the splash pad. So I would be more concerned the JV field, if a left-handed hitter hits the ball and it slices off of their bat, that's the bigger issue. If there's a game going on, this is gonna be nothing compared to that.
Just curious, it might be a better location by the lot where this building, where you want to put the building?
No, that's not where the players practice. This is the spot it's gonna go if we're gonna put it in. we've met with our people and looked at this will be the fourth time we've put it in. We had it in the parking lot, then we had it between the varsity and JV field, and then we put it on the tennis courts. So I've moved it 3 times. This one's gonna go in and stay, so we wanna make sure it's gonna be where it's gonna be useful for the people. Plus, in effect, if you think about it, it's gonna be, probably 3 feet higher than this building, and it's gonna be along the side of the left field fence. So if someone is playing and hits a ball, it's actually gonna help be a barricade to protect from the splash pad. So I think if anything, it's gonna be an asset to help, for sure, the line drives that come from, if I'm sitting correctly, I would be batting this way and the splash pad's over there, and if a foul ball goes like that, a line drive will be blocked by that batting tunnel. So I think it would help, not hinder.
So
So this would be more of like an actual building versus like, because when I think of a batting cage. I
No,
think
it's a
of
tunnel. All it is a slab of cement with 8 poles and a net that goes down, and
Just net.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I was thinking, but the way it sounded.
it's just a tunnel, a batting netting tunnel.
Okay.
But the ones we've had were portable. This is, the poles are big. They're gonna be all cemented in. It'll have it's gonna be very nice.
How long did you say it was gonna be? Did you want it to be?
How long?
Yeah.
I think it's 80, the concrete's 80 feet by 30 is the slab that'll go in. I've already had Ben look at it as far as where things are going with the splash pad and stuff, and he said there's plenty of room, it'll fit fine. And we can move it as advantageous as we can so that we help prevent any line drives from going over into the splash pad area. So, my big thing is I'm happy coming to meetings, but I don't have time to work between the school and the city. So I was hoping maybe Tracy and Jim could, this memorandum of understanding, if you want it done, you could kind of talk together to figure out how that's all gonna work. And then we can present it to the council, or however you wanna go about it. That's again, something that you guys will have to decide if you wanna do. My other last question is, I think for the DNR grant, I was under the understanding we were gonna hook up and go to the JV field. Are we gonna have to disconnect our current plumbing system and pump house to the varsity field?
Ben's gone,
Oh,
Ben
shoot.
left.
You would have the answer.
Yes, because the JV field, this goes back to the ownership portion, because the JV field is not technically owned by the city currently in satisfying the grant, I'm not 100% sure how if they will buck at which field it goes to, if it goes to a city field or if it goes to the JV field. So
'Cause,
that's,
yeah, I might have some concerns about, this field is one of the most beautiful fields in the state, and I don't wanna have it be sacrificed because we have to take it apart for the summer. So, I just wanna be included in that if I could, so we know exactly what's gonna happen. And it would seem to me to be a lot simpler if we could just get the property and hook it to that and we're done. But, that's not government, so. But anyway, that's just, that was a concern I had, because originally that's what you had told me, it was gonna go to the JV field. And I didn't know it was going to the Lions Memorial Park. So, other than that, our Legion tournament went fabulous. People from Shakopee and the cities all want to come out and play on our field. They love it. It's definitely a diamond in the community, and I appreciate you letting me be part of it and continue to work on it. nice to be able to work with you folks. It's been a pleasure. Deb and I have been doing this for 30-odd years, so. So we'll work on the permitting and the costs, and then I'll tell Cole he'll come to talk about this, and will you guys have this, are you able to put that? Do you know what I don't even know what a memorandum of understanding is.
What does he want to say? Is this Jim?
I think you're gonna have to call him. I wasn't in the meeting, that was Cole.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think the easiest way is if you just call him and say, look, what is this about? Tell me what you need, I'll tell you what I need, and let's just put it together.
I suspect it's more a promise to purchase in the future so that the school can grant permission for this scout project too.
I don't think it's that, yeah, it's not any big deal.
if it's, is it on the school property? Then they don't, why would they need permission?
They don't
They-
want
Well,
to
they don't-
own the property.
they don't wanna own the
So I
property,
understand that, but they do. So
They-
either they want it on there, or they don't. I guess I'm missing
they don't
something.
wanna give him permission to do it, cause
Why?
they don't want to own the property, is my understanding, right?
I don't understand the logic either.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not asking for money, we're gonna put it on there. It doesn't
Okay.
cost them anything. We mow it and take care of it. So I don't know why they can't do it, and then when the grant's done, then we do it. Maybe that's what they want so that the city will buy it. I don't know. But that's for you and Jim to figure out and discuss. I just wanna mow grass and fix my field.
Watch baseball.
Yeah. And watch our frogs win. So, I will be in contact with you if I have any questions. Otherwise, unless you have any questions for me, I won't take any more of your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for everything. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
See ya.
So can we maybe get a, if the city would end up buying it, then we'd want to change, this would have to be changed because the verbiage is all different. So maybe we do those kind of documents together. I can help you with this. But I'm not sure what he wants exactly. But it is a permanent thing.
Unless
You're
that's
putting-
why he wants the MOU to be in conjunction with the current joint powers agreement.
Well,
I don't know what he wants.
yeah, I'm not really sure either.
We'd have
I'm
to
wondering
go
if
out
it's like the liability of having that.
Does
having
the
the
city want
structure.
to take over the property? That's a question for later on down.
Yeah, I mean,
The
that's the
road.
thing, is that something the city wants? I mean, all this stuff that's being added now is going to be our responsibility as a city to replace and maintain. And
Who's gonna take care of it? in 30
utilities
years?
and so when the building needs a new roof or it needs a new, I mean, going back to the first thing, that's gonna be the city's responsibility. So, something to think about. I don't know what, that'd be nice to hear from Darren on what his thoughts are, like on the roof and the building itself.
I'm not clear moving out there, but
Pardon me?
do they need water, sewer?
I know that's, I don't know.
I should ask them that.
Well, it has a bathroom in
It has a
it,
bathroom.
so the bathroom is not used, or I mean, it has to have water.
If they're
Bathroom,
gonna use it.
water and sewer.
But do you need a bathroom in there?
Do they need a bathroom in there? That's-
Do they need a usable bathroom in there?
Yeah.
Even though it has one currently, do they?
Stuff to think about, that's why I asked about the cost, that's the city-owned property, city-owned building, everything that goes with owning a building.
Well, we can open the discussion later, end of the agenda too, and for further discussion. We'll move on to open forum. Anyone here to speak on anything not currently on the agenda?
Back up a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss something?
We never did decide on if we were approving or not approving the land use permit.
I would make a motion to
Table it.
table it
Okay.
until we get more information.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to table the land use permit for the April meeting. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now open forum. And there was no one, correct? All right, Sheriff's Office quarterly update. Welcome.
the sheriff's office. I think I've met a few of you guys here before, a little bit over a year ago, but I am recently now assigned to the Bird Island contract. So I will be the one driving around along with the other guys on the opposite side of the rotation. Looks like we averaged 43 calls for the month of February. 4 hours we had 267, and then into a weekly average of 66.75. I plan on meeting with the chief deputy, Jason Knopper, here next week or 2 weeks with the other contract cars, just to go over blight on how we want to handle blight this year, and I think Tracy will probably be in the loop on that as well. So just get on it.
Where are we at with the amendment to the, we talked about some of the business properties?
Yeah, we need to put that in the public notice and then we can put that.
I can't remember, the attorney paid it the way it was.
For the most part it was, but he said we have to do a public notice before whatever it was before we could actually approve it and say. But he didn't really have, yeah, he didn't really seem to have any,
Okay.
if I remember correctly, any changes.
Okay.
Yeah. My thoughts, is there any direction necessarily from the council, especially with him being new, on what they would like the sheriff's department to look at for the blight?
I know that Neil's email or text or whatever it was referenced some.
We just talked about that last month too, with the semi parked on.
That, and there was
Yeah.
also some blight issues, so
Yeah.
maybe he can forward those. or-
There's been, the past contract cars have had a list that for the most part, they keep pretty updated. I think quarterly they supply the council with that list and then let us know where they're at with, as far as whether they're coming into compliance, whether they've made any, taken any action to try and bring it into compliance. So. But I know there's a list because they've provided it in the past. Yeah. And I know I talked to the sheriff about that semi as well. He was going to look into it too. So. Okay.
Good.
Anything else for Deputy Ortloff? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Should be 20.
24.
Yes.
2024.
Sarah is not here yet, so.
She is.
Yes.
Sorry.
She snuck in and I didn't see her.
Welcome, Sarah.
It's like, it's really just look too.
I was sitting behind you.
She's in stealth mode.
Thank you.
I'm hand those out.
Can I have a copy of the too?
I've been talking to Neil.
One
I can pass them over.
There you go, that looks better for Sarah.
Struggling with booklets today.
Thank you. And there's the extra. Thank you. All right, so we will sneak through the 2024 audit for you guys. We'll go through the larger books, actually, the audit report. So that's what's the audit. If you skip in about 7 physical pages in, it's the one that starts with the letterhead on the top, the independent auditor's report letter. And basically, the first section there gives you the opinion on the financial statements. And then what that's telling you is you have unmodified or clean audit opinion. We feel the financial statements of the city of Bird Island present fairly in all material respects, the cash and unencumbered cash balances. The city prepares the financial statements on the regulatory basis. The state auditor's office lets cities under 2,500 population present this way. At the top of page 3 is the responsibilities of the city or management. The management's responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements, so they are your financial statements. And then the bottom of page 3, the last half, gives the responsibility of the auditor, and our responsibility is to express the opinion on the financial statements based on the audit. And if you skip ahead to page 6, been a few days since I picked it. Okay. On page 6 is the balance sheet for the governmental funds. Your general fund would be your operating fund. Had total assets of $1,741,000. Cash fund balance, non-spendable of $156,000. That was due to a cash deficit. I believe it was in the splash pad fund. Due to just timing, grant money hasn't come in. It's a reimbursement issue. And then the unassigned fund balance was $1,584,000. The general capital project funds had $424,000. And then the non-majors had cash fund balance of $204,000. On page 7 is the statement of cash receipts, disbursements, and changes in cash fund balances. The general fund had total receipts of $1,268,000, disbursements of $1,266,000. Some non-operating items down at the bottom for a total decrease of $33,792. The general capital project fund had an increase of $57,000. The 2024 tax abatement bond had a net zero, and then the non-majors had a decrease of $162,000. On page 8 is the statement of balances arising from cash transactions or balance sheets for your enterprise funds. The water fund had cash of $42,646. Sewer fund had $1,071,989, and then the storm had $102,000. And then the EDA fund had just shy of $54,000. On page 9 would be the income statement for those funds, or the statement of cash receipts, disbursements, and changes in cash fund balances. The water fund had operating revenues or receipts of $353,000, disbursements of $131,000, non-operating items of $233,000, and then the total change in that cash position was a decrease of $10,000. Sewer had $169,000 for receipts, $46,000 for disbursements, $243,000 decrease for the non-operating, and then a transfer in of $57,000 for a total decrease of $62,000. The storm sewer had an increase of $1,400, and then the EDA had an increase of $12,000. Page 10 is the cash flow statement. So again, you have cash basis financial statements up here, just a different layout of those. If you skip ahead to page 20, page 20 highlights your fund balance, the top part there. Essentially, fund balance is the remaining funds you have at the end of the year to meet future obligations of the city. Your unassigned fund balance for the general fund was 134.9% of 2025 budget. And then if you skip ahead a little bit on page 28, starts with the budget comparison. So you had budgeted to have revenues or receipts of $1,150,000, actual is $1,268,000, about $118,000 positive budget swing here. Most of that came between the intergovernmental revenues. Obviously, the state had come across with some more grant funds that were unaware during budget time, and then the miscellaneous items. As well as interest. You guys did substantially better in interest now that the rates are back. Page 29 shows the expenditure side, or the disbursement side. The general government was under budget by $18,000. Public safety was over budget by $261,000. Essentially, that was due to that purchase of the fire truck. And so you obviously had the issuance of debt to offset that. On page 30, Public Works was under budget by $94,000. Culture and Rec was under by $3,100. Total disbursements were $1,101,000. Actual is $1,266,000. Again, most of that is just due to that fire truck purchase. And then if you skip ahead, page 31 starts with showing those non-major funds in detail. 33 and 34 show the two special revenue funds, the community improvement fund and the revolving loan fund. Community Improvement Fund had 152,000 of cash and revolving loan had 173. And then 35 and 36 show your, debt funds. The 2007A had 12,835 and the 2018A had 11,245. And then on page 37 and 38 shows the capital project funds. Again, the splash pad fund had that deficit due to timing issues with the grant. And then the USDA building had 10,000. Page 39, 40 and 41, we show your enterprise funds on a full accrual method. So it's similar to how you'd see private business report with all the long-term assets and liabilities of the funds. The total funds for your total assets for your enterprise funds were 12,928,000. Total liabilities were 4,996,000, and the total net position is 7,931,000. That total net position would be that overall net worth of those funds. Most of that 6,666,000 is what's invested in the long-term assets, the building, the infrastructure, the equipment. The 1,234,925 of the unrestricted, that's the available resources for those funds at the end of the year. 40, on page 40 shows the 3 enterprise funds again on a full accrual method. So when you really look at how did the fund do operating wise, this is where you want to focus. That change in that position towards the bottom, the third line up, is the overall increase or decrease, profit or loss for the fund. Water had a $3,700 decrease. Sewer fund had a $94,000 increase. That would be after transfer, so you're gonna wanna look at the $36,375 increase before transfers. And the storm had a $19,000 decrease before the transfer. You guys are doing that operating transfer from the general fund as a normal annual thing, so after that, that was an $18,000 increase. And then page 41 shows the cash flow statement for those 3 funds. Again, very similar to how we saw on the front, it's just really a different layout of the financial cash flow from operations at the top, and then your financing and such. And then if you skip to page 46 and 47, this would be your internal control letter. What it tells you, the internal control letter says that we do not actually audit your internal control structure, but we take an evaluation of it, and anything that we know must be communicated to you. There's 2 findings listed as significant deficiencies, and those are going to be on page 48. The first one is the fact that the city did not prepare financial statements. Again, large entity, perfect world, you have a much bigger staff than in your current accounting system that would actually put together the financial statements. And then the second one is the lack of segregation of duties or separation within the accounting. Again, you at perfect world, you would have about 4 or 5 times the amount of staff you have right now doing the accounting work. And then the very last page in there, page 49, is the Minnesota legal compliance letter. And in relation to legal compliance, you had no findings. And then the second book you have just has some charts and graphs and a little bit of comparative history. Your audit report is a single year snapshot. So when you look at some of the comparatives, I think on page 5, those are the graphs that I feel are the most value to you. When we look at the top one there, the blue would be the receipts, the green or the red would be the disbursements, and the green is the fund balance. So we never want to see the fund balance still dipping below the 50% mark of what your receipts and or disbursements are. And you can see you guys have traditionally had receipts in excess of disbursements, so you've gone on the positive for the last number of years. And then the bottom one there shows that fund balance in relation to subsequent years' expenditures. And there's a little bit of dipping around, but for the most part, it's been strong numbers throughout. And then the last couple pages in there just show the enterprise funds. And again, both of your enterprise funds, as far as when we look at the full accrual, they're pretty strong. Any questions?
Do not. Also have any
I
questions?
would make a motion to approve the audited financial report as presented.
I'll second.
There's a motion and the second on the table to approve the 2024 financial audit. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
And moving on, presentation on bringing fiber internet to the city. Hi.
Hi, good evening. So Councilor Kathy Lund, Rivera. Have you had a chance, I know the presentation got sent out late, so I do have copies if you do not.
I did not make them because you said you were bringing.
I did.
I was gonna say, I didn't say anything.
Well, I sent it to her on Friday and then I didn't attach the attachment, so that wasn't very helpful for
Hate
her.
when that happens.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
So Nuvera Communications, we're a communications company from New Ulm. That's where our corporate office is, and we would like to bring fiber internet services to the residents and businesses in Rhode Island. So I'm going to go through the information in this packet and just hit some of the highlights. I'm not going to read it to you word for word, but our company was started in 1905, and it was started by farmers who wanted better access to the technology at that time, which was phone service. So we were a traditional telephone company. And now today we continue to lead, by delivering that technology of today, which is broadband service. There's a little bit of information about our company, our executive team. As I mentioned, we're headquartered in New Ulm. We have about a little over 200 employees. We have 11 offices in New Ulm and in Minnesota and one in Iowa, serving over 70,000 connections between voice, video, and internet. We're also a partner in the Minnesota Fiber Minnesota ownership, which is a statewide fiber network. So building gig communities, we've started since 2021, really focusing on our existing service areas as well as trying to branch out into new areas to provide fiber internet service. We are looking to make an investment of our own of $250 million over a 5-year period to hit the communities and locations that we're looking for. It costs about $4,000 per location to put the mainline fiber in and the drop to either the home or the business. It lists in here some of our gig cities and some of our edge out ones. And in this area recently, we did fiber internet in Hector. That city is complete. And then last year we started in Olivia. And we're probably about a third of the way done in Olivia. I know we'll build at least there this year. We may need to finish up there in 26. Why fiber? Fiber is really the gold standard for making connections, the reliability, the ability to, it's scalable. Right now we have 3 offerings up to a gig, but within the next probably second quarter here, we'll be launching some 5 and 8 gig services. So we'll be continuing to meet the demands of our customers. Our residential pricing is included in here. We do have the same pricing in all of our areas. We have a 200, 500, and gig offering. We do have a $9.95 monthly modem fee that's in addition to that. And then the higher offerings, 500 or a gig, do include the home Wi-Fi. If you don't want, if you just have the 200 meg, you can either purchase the home Wi-Fi for $6.95 a month or have your own router to do Wi-Fi in your home. The one thing that is really important and that we do try to make sure we get out into communities and have some meetings with residents is that we do want them to sign up for service ahead of time, and then we will pay for the drop to their home. If we do the construction and then they decide 6 months later to sign up for service, they can still do that. but there's a $250 charge then to bring that drop up to the customer home. And if they sign up for service and then decide to, you know, the drop is to the home, but decide to not take the service, then we'll bill them the $250, so. Fiber offerings are great for the community. You know, economic development, it allows people to work from home. It allows people to have different, you know, things within their home that are connected that their current services today may not allow them to do. And then there's a section that really kind of talks about our construction process, everything from notification, and that's, you know, talking with the community, talking with residents, getting the information shared so that they understand how to sign up, what needs to be done when they sign up. Then we do site preparation, the actual construction, and then the drop construction, which is from the main line. You know, the main construction is in the city's right of way. That's where that main line goes in. The drop construction is from the main line then up to the residents. And then we have to splice that. We connect the main line and the drop, and then we install the fiber in the home.
Most of this is buried or area?
It's all buried. We've looked at aerial. We've considered doing aerial. Aerial allows us to do it faster, but winds and weather, and it just lasts longer in the ground. Not that it couldn't get cut, however, you know, that's why we have locating and all of that. Collaboration is really important for us. We've been doing our gig projects for, well, this will be our 4th year, and we found that to get in early and talk with city administrators, share information with the council, it's really important for us to understand what projects the city has that are going on, so we can collaborate with them and we stay out of their way. You know, those are the primary projects for any city, is to get their work done. So we want to put together a plan to work around that. So our engineers would work with the city engineers to make sure that they're all on the same page. Next steps are really, you know, our engineers would come, and the first time I talked to Tracy, she said, we're kind of in the middle of an engineering switch. So I said, that's okay. I said, I'll come the following month, or we can, you know, get some things put together whenever you have a team on staff. So, you know, we would just start connecting with them, letting them know what we're looking at. You know, they'd have to come, our engineers would have to come through and create a plan for the city, and then start executing the plan. We do primarily work with engineering firms. Slayton, Finley Engineering, I think would be the one who would do this project. Our contractor is from Wyndham. Odson does quite a bit of the construction. We do have our own staff out on site also, you know, as a site engineer, and kind of making sure that things are followed according to how things are supposed to happen. But we do know sometimes during restoration, you know, a customer may not be happy with how things were restored. And we do have a site on our spot on our website where any customer concern tickets, we look at those daily. And you can choose the level. Is it a safety issue? Is it just kind of a nuisance? We make sure we take care of those right away. So sometimes they're handled by us internally. It may go to the contractor or the engineer, depending on what the concern is. You know, I am also a point of contact. So if Tracy would get concerns, you know, she can reach out to me and I will find the person internally that can take action on that. We do try to, like I said, be as responsive as we can, answer questions for customers or prospective customers as we're working on projects as well. You know, but the responsibilities of the city, in addition to, you know, meeting with our engineers and helping us to kind of, you know, share plans and that type of thing, is really going to be the permitting. You know, we would put permits through for the city and then obviously the state for the highway. So there will be permitting and locating. Any questions that you have? I know you guys have been here a long time already, so you have a lot of.
So what are you asking
I just,
from the city of?
well, I just want to know if you have any concerns, if there's anything, any concern about having another, internet option for your residents. At this time, we wouldn't plan to do voice or video service. Most people are just using internet and mobile devices. However, if the community felt strongly about that, we would certainly, entertain that, because we can do that over internet as well. But we've really found in the areas that we've gone out to, the internet is what customers are looking for. And like I said, we just want to make sure that, that the council's kind of informed. A lot of the bigger national providers don't necessarily do this. They'll just start sending in permitting, but I just really wanted to kind of get in front of you and see if there were questions.
So will you be sending information type flyers, something
Yep.
out to the community to inform people that
Yes.
this is an option that may be coming into town?
Mhm.
Or you want the city to?
No,
Are you
no, we
asking the
would do
city
that.
to do that? You're
No,
going
we
to.
would do that. We may ask you if we're gonna do a community event, if we could post something, at the city offices, that type of thing. And keep you informed about things that we're doing, or making sure that you have contacts, that you could direct people to. That's kind of the partnership that we're looking for, just kind of a communication link, or knowing who to contact.
I'm assuming you have to get the word out that it is even an option to.
We do, yeah.
To see
Yeah,
whether the
so there would
community,
be
if there's enough
mailers.
people to.
Yeah, there'll be mailers going out
Okay.
soon.
So your main line was put in town back in 21, is that correct? You're already here?
We have service to the library, and I'm gonna say there might be a business or two. We were part of a consortium that did libraries and schools about 10 years ago, I think. So it's probably been about 10 years since the main line
That
fiber
long ago.
came through. I know, it seems like yesterday. So that also is, a reason for us to consider, and we're a regional company. It's just a good fit for us. We would service Rhode Island out of Sleepy Eye, so our technicians aren't that far away. And it's a good fit for our culture.
So there'd be no additional cost to the city.
There would not.
To come in.
No, there would not.
Is there in here somewhere, there was something about a hut? Or did you need
Oh.
van?
We'll look
Or,
for, well, and our engineering firm would have to be, I'm not sure if they'll do a hut or if they're just gonna need a location for a cabinet. So yes, they will work with the city on, a location for that. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Always good to have options.
I've had a few residents complain about our options and they'll be excited.
Oh, yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the businesses tend to look for upgrades and something that.
The only thing I think of, and maybe the way their packages laid out might be different. For so many small businesses, they don't want a business service, so to speak. It's a lot of, you know what I'm saying? You get a residential price for a small business. Sometimes you can't. But
That'd be a discussion for them to
Yeah.
have with the.
Right.
yeah,
Maybe some negotiation.
yep.
All right, very good. Learning Fun House lease. All right, welcome.
Everybody saved your packet of information that I sent?
I did not bring it with me, but I do still have it.
Is
Is it in here?
It's in the packet.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is.
This is the Nick Lozano's charts.
Yep.
So, surprise, surprise. I was out in New York for Christmas. on our way back, I got a call from the bookkeeper saying that I don't think I can make payroll next month.
What?
Anyway,
Wait, you were doing Christmas and?
can't think of the town. Huh?
Yeah, I know, I just have to.
No, no. About 2 hours north of New York City and about an hour south of, what's the capital?
Albany?
Albany, yeah, yeah. Can't think of the name of the town now. What's the name? Anyway. So before you to ask your consideration of deferment on our lease till we can get our feet back under us. We've been working with a lot of folks. We didn't anticipate this happening. We've been watching the finances really close, relying on what we have for reserve cash, and then taking that against what we have as months we gain, months we lose. I don't know, a couple of years back, we were really dire straits from COVID, and but things the state really pumped money into the daycare businesses. And right now, we still have 46,000 a month coming in from the state under their new support program for daycare centers, which, from what I can gather, will probably go on for quite a few years yet, hopefully. And we've been working since the first of the year, working with local, county, and regional agencies to get a sustainable plan for the center. We were working with Southwest Initiative, and they were first on the scene to help. And another big player is First Children's Finance. We've worked with them before how to restructure the center to make it more financially sustainable. And we're doing really good after started that when we had that big run in during COVID. We just needed some breathing room, and so Swift was able to guarantee a line of credit with the Franzen Bank of $19,500 just to get us over, so making payroll, meet operating expenses. And to date, we have not had to draw on that, so things have been going well. And then the Arundel County EDA also was helping with our capital fundraising campaign. We got about 3,000 just came in. We just put that out a couple of weeks ago. You guys may have seen letters. And they're going to help with publicity efforts to recruit additional children. And then United Community Action has been helping along also. So first step was to increase rates, more money coming in. The next page, if you look at it, it's readings to the families. We're going to start April 1st with an 8.8% increase. Why we're doing it. Typically, we're going to go annually, but this one, we had to bump this one up. Whether we do one again in September, we'll have to wait and see. And then the next page shows the rates, the infant rate, toddler rate, preschool, school age, and then the drop-in rate. Where is it in comparison to where we were? If you look at the next page, it shows the infant, toddler, preschool 1, 2, and school age AM, PM, and the drop-in. And if you look, we were trying to decide between an 8 and 8.8. We wanted an 8.8% increase. So if you look at infant and go all the way to the right, it was about a $17 per week. Per week increase. Toddlers, same. Preschool, 15, unless you're not potty trained, that was 17. And then the school age, it's AM and PM because they're in school during the day. So that was like a lower rate, the $4 or $47 per week. The increase being $4. So, and then summer about 14 for school age. So we thought 8.8 was probably pushing the limit on what people could afford. Hopefully this works. We couldn't much go less than that. We have to bring the money in to keep the doors open. If you look at, and then we're looking too at some of the rates in the area. Little Stangs over in Buffalo Lake, infant is $230, and you'll notice we went up to $210. Sleep Guy is a little less. toddler rate was 210 in Buffalo Lake there, and we're at 205, so we're a little bit under. So that's what parents will feel. Then I put in here something, the next page is the market price analysis that the state puts out. And this is based on, it goes back to what the actual rates are among all the centers in the state. We divide them up by 4 different levels. We're in level 1, which is rural daycare centers, so the rates are gonna be lower. So as you go down the list, it gets more expensive when you get into the urban kinds of areas, so. But in our region, and then, and I believe in the county, this is the county healthcare assistance program that the county has, CCAP. And these are the rates that they would be able to handle. And so all of the families that are on county help with their now the county is based on needs, so they have a sliding scale depending upon what their income is. Those least able to afford get a higher subsidy. But you can see that our rate 210, say for an infant, and the 50% percentile is 213 in a level 1. And what that's telling you is 50% of the centers have rates below 2, it's the medium, and then 50% have rates more. And so, say the 213, we're at 210, so we're just below the 50 percentile. So there's centers in our level that can charge a lot more. What that's telling us is that we could actually be going higher, and the county would still be paying for those rates at the center. So we have room to move and still not lose those that are eligible for the county assistance to get their full reimbursement. That's so that was helpful to know. So we're right about in the middle. Any questions on anything so far? No. Okay. So then, First Children's Finance, and there's the big help that we're getting. They're doing a full-blown analysis of the center, revenue, staffing, children, and operations. And they're going to meet with the board this, and these charts are coming from that. I just pulled out the tuition financial pieces of it. There's also staff packet, child packet charts, and operations. And so we'll be going through that with their thoughts on different things. And I'll point out a couple of things. This Thursday, they're going to meet with the board over all these figures. So the first one you'll see is 2024. So they took 6 months of last year, July through March. I think they took everything from January, but I don't think I got all the rates on it because I gave them all of that. So they were going to plan on doing a 2024 through the end of the year. So those will be actual numbers. So they're feeding into the system. They got a brand new software that they've been dying to try. And they said, well, this is a good chance. And we just sent them tons of information, more information than they are able to get usually from most centers. So fortunate that way. And so they dug into it. So a couple of things to point out on this one. So this is our last year that we completed. And one thing to know, if Neil was here, he would say, but you guys lost last year. You were down about 34,000 for the year. And yes, we were. So if you look at December, it says we had revenue of 75,000. And what they realized that they needed to do, because they thought that we went in the hole that amount. And we didn't because we had reserves. And so what they did is they added the reserve that we used to get us to that point in time, 45,000, so that ended up being 75,000. Makes sense to you because it was skewing the remaining. They went out 5 years, so I've got it up. Well, let's see, I got through 4 years ahead. What was happening there was a lot tighter and a lot more work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. Hard to do it. But that's why that figure there. Now, if you go down to So for 24, if you go down to the income, towards after the expenses, so it shows us showing a gain of 14,000 for 2024, but actually it was a minus 34,000, so we drew heavily on our reserves. And I guess I'll point out here that December 31st, we had 14,000 in our reserve account, December 31st. And then January 31st, we had 9,000. And that's where things got pretty dicey at the end of the year there. The income wasn't covering our expenses.
She just, the numbers aren't filled in here, right? So this is just the total revenues on the bottom.
Yep.
Thinking it's not all other, these numbers would go in here.
Yep.
I was kind of like looking to compare the income from the revenue coming in from kids. You know,
Right.
what you're collecting versus what you're paying on payroll.
Yeah.
But they don't have that split.
Not for 24, they do for 25.
Okay,
Yeah, so
okay,
that was a way to get this
okay,
started.
okay. Because then they have their stuff filled out in 25 and we're not there
Yep.
yet. So
Well, that's the.
they're projecting, got
Projecting,
it.
yeah, they're projecting out,
Okay.
what kinds of things you need to do
Okay,
now to improve things later.
yeah,
And as you go along, you can go against this as to what, you're going up or down, what you need to do. So they'll help us in following this. And what I was told is that they use the current rhythm, the current figures for staffing and children and those kinds of things, barring any improvements that we'd be making. So they were just taking on what we have and calling that an historical. So the numbers could improve more as we go along, and I'll show you a point and where they kind of do that too. Okay, so then if you go to this year, oops, that was on the side. This year, we got, in January, we got a line of credit, January 15th, 19,500, because we were dipping below, for payroll. We wanted to make sure that we were able to keep tourism. So we've got that as a buffer to help us work out some of the crinkles in here that we need. April 1st, we'll have an 8.8% increase in our rates for families. And we've already figured in potentially the city being able to give us a deferment on our lease until the end of the year, so for 9 months. So if you look down under expenses for occupying, if you look at that line, kind of in the middle there, it's like 1,004, so that's the lease payment is in that, and if you go into April, it drops by $600. So hopefully that would be something that would happen. And then it'll stay that until December. And if you look in 26, then it jumps back up by $600 to 1,000 something for the lease payment. So what that's helping us do is gives us some breathing room for this year to get things squared away. Let's see what else. Whether in September we do another rate increase, we're trying to do it annually, and that's what we did the last 2 years. We had an annual increase in September with the start of the school year. That's and whether we do that again will depend upon how things are going by the time we get to that point in time. We do have to give a 30-day notice. We'd have to know by the end of July if we're going to have to do that or not.
It's tough on the parents when they do it mid-year too, because they've kind of set their budget for the year with the previous numbers, and then you start raising how many times mid-year.
Yeah, well, they hated it when we were doing it. We were doing it quarterly because that was after COVID, and we just had to have money coming in, and we didn't do it all at once. Although some people would do it all at once and they're over with. But anyway,
Tough on the
so
parents though.
yeah, very tough. So now one thing they do have talking about the children, they're doing a child roster, which takes all of the kids in the infant room, well, all the kids in any rooms right now, and then runs that out for 5 years so that you know about the infant ones going into toddler, going into preschool, and where the vacancies occur, because the timing in each of those rooms is a little bit different. You can go 16 months in the infant room, you can go up to 3 years in the toddler room. But what we didn't realize is that, so if you look up at the classroom enrollment, income coming in, during the summer months, it jumps from the 30s, jumps up to 40, well, yeah, it went up to 38 in May, June 41, 42, 44, and then all of a sudden in September, it dropped to 28. And I mean, it's pretty simple if you think about it. All of the preschool kids that were going into kindergarten that year, they were there for the full summer, and then come fall, 8, 9, 10 of them go into kindergarten. So they're gone. Now, with the child roster, you can see that coming, and so we can start advertising, May, June, whatever, and start touting what we have for a program, so that we can be filling those gaps so that we don't have such a big drop September through November. So that's one thing, by looking at a child roster, you can see what's happening. And if you look at the next year, that was counteracted some with that in mind. It's the wrong way. So the next year, April or June, July, and August was 49, 50, 50. And then in September, it dropped some, but not as much, and it built up quicker. Otherwise, you face like 3 months where you can build that program back up. Whereas if you're advertising and bringing new kids in, you can avoid that kind of thing. And they did in 26, that was moderated some. What is our plan? There's more to it than what I'm showing you, but I just wanted to give you kind of sense of the financial piece of it. So a rate increase of 8.8%, and then optimize enrollment using the child roster. We were able to advertise, we saw we were low in our infant room, so those are precious spots. We didn't realize that we were going to be low at that point in time. So we had really 3 openings and some more coming up as they move out. So we've been advertising that and filling that room up. So optimizing enrollment via the child roster, optimizing the staffing, we're doing analysis of the staff in each of the rooms. And we're going to watch that a lot closer. Making parents aware of the CCAP financial help that's available, and also scholarships through Parent Aware. Now the scholarships right now, they're taking applications, but they're not awarding any new scholarships. But so we're encouraging parents to get on the waiting list, because as new money comes in, and that's something they can have to help themselves on. And so, at the end of 25, you see an $8,000 deficit. It's less than our line of credit, so we'll still be able to cash flow. And then if you go forward to 26, you start to see in 26, given the same what we've been doing going forward, we're pretty much out of the woods in 26. We're not showing a loss in any 1 month. It'll dip down some, and at the end of the year we should be, to follow everything right, with First Children's Finance Help, looking at all of the variables, we should be ahead 63,000, and then 27 again, and it just keeps growing. So we're in a tough patch right now, but with some help, the line of credit's really helping. If we can get the city to help, it's something that it's a real indication that we can weather this and really come out ahead in a solid footing.
Question mark?
Yep.
So when you get to the 2026, is that saying the child census has gone up then due to marketing efforts, or are they basing just on an increase in rates, annual increase in rates, or is it also you're hoping for more kids?
I think 26 is based on current number of kids and current number of staff.
Okay. With an increase at the beginning of the year?
Well, the question is whether we do another one in September or not. We don't do it at the beginning of the year. We do it in September, the start of the school year. That's what we're doing, our annual.
Well, okay, so there, but the numbers that are in there are up quite a bit from the 2025, right? I mean, they're more, so,
I think that's the projected, given the fact that they know that that age bracket's going to,
that's what I.
has
that's what I was
historically
asking,
dropped
Well,
down.
when they told me, they said they're basing it on,
Because they are,
Correct. but I think as they go forward, I'm not sure in 26 if they're basing it on more enrollment. Well, they are because,
must be,
yeah, because in September there isn't a drop, and so I know they've been looking at that. But we can, so we don't lose too many kids. We don't have such a drop in income September through November.
so they're projecting quite a big increase, it looks to me, when.
Between December to
26.
20, yeah.
You know,
December
I'm
25
trying-
to January 26.
Comparing the, you know. So I mean, that's the. So there's either have to be a rate increase or the census went up, or both. I don't know what to do.
I'm sorry.
So am I making sense?
Yeah, you are. Okay, so January we're at 30.
I just put it like this, like it's there. The 25 there. So these are 25 numbers and 26, they're significantly higher. So either they're considering a rate increase or filling up all, you know.
30 to 39 in January. February.
That's 27 to 39.
You go from December of
Am I
25 to
looking at something
January.
wrong?
No.
No,
but
no,
if
you're
you
right.
go
I
from
mean, well, I
January,
think you're right in that the
there's
numbers are bigger in
$9,000
26.
increase between December and January.
Right.
So they must think, put
There
that
must be
increase
an
in January,
An increase. Or both, I mean, that's what I was wondering.
because that's a large increase from December to January.
Well, we're gonna be meeting Thursday, so we'll go over that. I'm thinking, each year they increase each year, as part of the statistical analysis, whereas we do our increases, in September. But on 24, oh, go back 24. Well, see, they don't show that though. We did an increase in September 24th, but they don't show any of those in terms of enrollments. So then 25, if we did an increase, they don't show the increase in September when we normally do our annual rates. So I'm thinking they would show it in the next year on a calendar year rather than on our fiscal year would be like September in terms of charging for kids.
The numbers look great, I just like, you want it to be realistic though, too. You know?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, your ask from the city though, Mark, is for that deferment,
It's for the
for a
deferment
9 months, so till the
Right.
end of 25,
to the end of 25.
which is
Yeah.
$5,400.
That's what I wanted to kind of dig in this for you to know that, you know,
Sure.
what we're doing to,
Yeah.
and that it potentially can be, you know, short-lived of sorts and really put us on a good footing.
So would you say the issue that came about, because the grant is still coming in from the state, has to do mostly with the child census going down and the rates not being high enough, combination of both of those? Okay, so the child census has gone down, just kind of
It hasn't grown. It's kind of goes back and
back and
forth.
forth.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think.
Do you lose kids in the summer? I mean, this is all stuff to
We're
look
full for the summer. We don't have enough room for all the kids
Oh,
this summer.
okay. I didn't know if there was other programs out there that were taking away.
During the school year there are, I mean, the preschool.
Yeah.
St. Mary's has preschool.
Yeah.
Play Island does, well, as St. Mary's is Play Island.
Yeah.
And there's Head Start, ECI, and then Bold has their own preschool. So they're all, everybody's going for
That's,
those
yeah,
preschool kids.
yeah,
That age group,
yeah.
with different ways that they do it.
But you're charging now on a weekly, if people sign a contract and they pay X amount for a week.
It's auto
Yeah.
pay, so, yeah, and it's by the week. So that was one of the first things we did after COVID. We did a flat rate for everybody. And then they, full time, if they, you know, they pick choose their days, it's fine, but there's a flat rate for the full year, and that made a big difference in terms of income coming in. That really helped.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that, the council wants to see it succeed and
Be great.
to thrive.
It's just, the concern would be, now we come to a year is over and nothing has changed. with the numbers. That would be good.
Wouldn't be good for the
For
city.
everybody,
it'd be for-
exactly, exactly. We need to have our daycare center
Yeah, yeah.
here. So,
But I'm
But there's
glad,
9 months to the year left too, so
and we're already
even
starting
within
to
3 to
make
4
some
months, you should be able to see,
See
with this rate
something.
increase, you should be able to see
Mhm.
the numbers getting better,
changes.
I suspect.
you and me are both on the EDA, so you're seeing numbers monthly, right? Yeah.
Well, the 9-month deferment would come to $5,400 for 2025.
We would just, we did that, we would just have to take that out of the general fund and reserves. right, To cover
That was my next
deficit.
question, is where's the
Yeah,
have to come from? Come from anywhere else.
you okay with that, James?
Why do we charge them $600? Why that number?
It was more than that to start with.
Okay.
Well, it started off, when they built the center,
Mhm.
after 3 or 4 years, the grants ran out. And then, and they couldn't make the mortgages. And so the city got a USDA community facility
Yeah.
grant.
1572 a month.
Yeah.
Remember that one forever.
And that includes the
39.
maintenance, there has to be maintenance fund maintained too or
Yeah.
something. And of course, just gonna quit do that, so they were charging, I want to say it was like about $300 a month lease, and the city would pick up the rest. And then over time, that's gotten up to $600, because we were doing quite well before COVID hit.
Mhm.
And then they kept bringing the lease payment up a little bit higher each year. Or in time, after the first couple of years when things got kind of stabilized. So that's the $600 is what the city's charging the center for the lease to keep it sustainable financially as for childcare to be in town. And the city is paying off that mortgage to the USDA at a higher rate. And at some point, I think we're how many
Just to
years from
recoup some of those dollars.
I thought it was a 39 year, if I remember
39.
right.
so.
We got a ways to go yet.
2000.
Is it a
25.
39?
EDA originally was 30.
Well, it'd be 25 years on it.
Bigger
anyway.
project.
Okay.
It's a long one,
Yeah.
That's really the city.
so. Monthly payment, yeah.
Now, we do some things that you don't normally do. The city pays the mortgage, but the center does all of the insurances, does all of the interior kinds of things. The city's responsible for anything structurally. The roof, although the center insurance paid for the roof, but the city went ahead and put steel roof on, so they more out of their pocket. And they did the windows.
Mhm.
And then got some help with the flooring, like put some new carpeting. And then Tracy found some things with, what do you call it? Surplus in
State
the city.
surplus.
Yeah, yeah. So we've done some things that way. But we carry everything else that's going on. The furnace is coming up, we just replaced the water softener. That was like $1,800. And the furnaces are, well, they're 25 years in. And hopefully they'll go a couple more years, but as soon as we're able to find the right kind of a grant, we'd like to get those replaced so that they don't kaput on us. And that's the thing about 30,000 probably. Now, First Children's Finance, they said, oh, that would have been a good one for our facilities grant, because that's what they were doing. They were doing 40,000 for facilities that had those emergency kinds of things are coming due. And so hopefully something like that will come up in the next year when they do that one again, and we'll try and get in on that to cover the furnaces.
So Julie, is there a recommendation from the EDA board? Have you talked about this?
No, we just have the presentation. the meeting last month, and the plan was to bring it to the full council for discussion and see if the council would be in favor of the deferment to get them through the tough months.
What do you think?
I think for $5,400, we need to try.
Yeah,
If that little bit of help can help keep their head above water until they can get the full report from
First Children's Finance.
and see what changes need to be made.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the deferment of the lease for 9 months.
Also,
Motion and second on the table to defer the lease payment from the Learning Fun House for the remainder of 9 months of 2025. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Well, thank you very much.
Good luck, Mark.
Thanks, Mark, for all you do.
It's a big job.
It is.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Good things are happening.
All right, moving on to the ballpark complex contract with Bull School and the Bull Baseball Association.
So now this is different than the joint powers agreement.
This,
Like, as everybody's aware of that, right? This is the annual, because earlier we were talking about the joint power agreement.
it does reference the
It
joint powers
references
agreement,
that,
number
this
3,
is,
but
this is
yes,
that.
yes,
So it kind of spells out everything.
this is a separate,
Yep,
yes.
and this is no different than it was
It-
last year.
Nope, I didn't change anything except the date. If I remember to count all the dates in it.
Basically, now the Bowl Baseball Association does all the mowing, right? Is that correct, Dave?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So does the city pay for the gas for the mowers, or does the school, or does that share, do you know how that works?
However it worked before, it works now.
I didn't know.
Was there an issue in the past with them getting the mowing done? I thought there were times the city just went ahead and did it because it
The
was-
issue in the past was that the Bulb School District didn't do what they used to do and didn't tell us about it. And Gunner and Todd Sheehan and Merlin and others stepped forward and started cutting. And so now we got Merlin on board, we can grab our mower to help get it done and stuff, so. That was the addition of splash pad stuff for doing that too, so.
They just got a mower, right? So they don't need the city's mower, right?
Merlin is on our part-time payroll. When we need it and he does it, he grabs it.
He,
Didn't
he was
just-
approved, but he has yet to fill out any
Oh.
paperwork or put in any, or submit any hours or anything like that.
But Nagel just said they bought a mower.
What?
They
Did I
traded
miss
in
that?
there.
The ballpark has many mowers for different things out there,
Yeah.
especially
Oh.
infield,
Number
yeah, it's special mowers, yeah.
Oh, so they have more than one mower. They can't use the
Not a
one.
lawn
Oh, I don't
mower.
know. I don't know.
I
Just
don't know anything
figure
about
out.
mowing.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
So there's been no changes.
To this from last year.
I will move to accept the ballpark complex contract as presented.
also.
Motion and second on the table to approve the ballpark complex contract with Bold School and the Bold Baseball Association. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed, same sign. Carried. And reference the current ownership of the JV field. What does the council think about
I think the joint powers agreement has to be revised to, you know. so there's
Unless
some-
that's what they're asking, or what they're assuming there'll be an MOU, will just be added to that then.
the new-
That if you draft an MOU and it's adopted, it gets added to that joint powers agreement. It's an addendum.
The way it is now, it won't be accurate though.
Yeah.
The current one isn't accurate if the changes are made. It references the properties and the word, they'll just have to be changed.
Yeah.
And you want some sort of a year, some kind of an agreement that's gonna last more than
A
a
year.
year, or somebody can get out of it in 30 days, you're gonna want some kind of a commitment that this stays. The only thing that's been asked of the school is to take care of the mowing and the weeding. The city has paid for the water and all the other stuff. Insurance, which is a huge amount for all that stuff that's on there. All the structures and stuff. So, I mean,
One of my biggest questions is who's gonna be left to take care of it in 30 years when things change.
the city owns it, the city will have to take care of it. That's the
Yep.
bottom line. So you're gonna call Menton or contact him and see what he wants out of that.
For the joint.
The memorandum.
Yeah.
What he wants out of that and see if we can have something. So at least that they can coexist. They're not, you know. See what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Well, and as far as the discussion on the possible purchase of that land, we've already agreed to table that for
Yep.
next month, so. Any other comments, opinions on that topic? If not, we'll move on to the Public Works maintenance update.
Could have been, yeah. Second to last page.
So, I know it's been a long meeting, I'm gonna try to get through here real quick. Because of no snow, we're focusing on sweeping, getting the junk off the streets. We had a lot of leaves this year. We're also trimming, going by and running around picking up that later. When we're identifying our hazardous trees to take down before the frost comes out, unfortunately, the frost is coming out darn fast here now, and we're gonna have to be a little more careful with how we drop the ones that we have to do. I haven't taken the plows off the trucks yet because snow's still a deal, but we wanna drop those when we start doing trees, so we're just doing a timeline thing. Sanitary sewer, we're throwing some water around, the ice is still on there. I think that the ice is gonna be gone early this year. It's still thick, but the color hasn't changed yet, but I think it's gonna be a rapid deal with the warm stuff. So we wanna have that ice gone, flipped over. 10 days later, we wanna do a pre-sample, and then we have to wait a week for that and then start discharging. Not a lot of water out there to discharge. I'm a little bit worried about the ditch. It's artificially high right now. I alerted Seth at the county to take a view. He was out there today, and there's a little bit of a problem on a county-owned crossing. They're gonna keep an eye out when the ice is out. So that's in the works. Stormwater, we're full. It's trickling out. It's taking out the ice on the ditch. We're engaging the pump to accelerate that ice coming out. Right now, the ice is basically out from the County Road 5 to the ponds, but it's working its way downstream. So we don't have a bunch of snow that's gonna melt. We're no threat of flood or anything, so we're good. I am worried about the super concentrated cell that's supposed to hit the city this weekend, and we're gonna pump that pond down just to be able to handle a 2-inch rain. Right now, we can't handle that because it's full. So Rusty and I are watching that real close. Tracy and I have got to work with Minnesota Department of Health, rural water, and our wellhead protection plan. It's already been 8 years, and it automatically kicks in the deal. We have to review what we've done, and we're in not so good shape because it's been sitting on the shelf. And so we've got to do some work on that. The lead copper service line identification continues. We're in between 60 and 70 remaining here. Now's a good time for Dusty and I to go after them. I'm trying to solicit the help of the office as well as these people come in and keep that list out there that we know that we gotta get, make contacts when they come in and pay their water bills and stuff or shut-offs. So I'm hoping that we can get through all of them. No other city gets through all of them. We have to go end up doing potholes and stuff out there. We wanna be 100% complete on that list before we start asking for water money to proceed with that project. Anything else on there? We have a little wind damage on the water plant out there. I've got some issue with snow coming in that side of the deal. I've got a little bit of a bat problem out there, so before we just nail it back, cover it up, and we want to try to get Danny out and check that out and see if we can do something solving both of those problems. A lot of people at the park right now. No, the ice rink was a very short year, but it is what it is. Yes, we did get enough frost back in the ground with that cold spell to put water back in it, but when you put water back on it, it takes frost out too. And the water's all gone, so it just didn't make sense to go out there and put all that work in that rink again for 10 more days of. We usually give up on President's Day, just because the sun's so high, the days are long and the weather's iffy. Rural water, I was at the conference up in St. Cloud this last week, and I want to pass out a little quick synopsis of that. We talked about doing that in the past, so you guys can make a few notes. What that training is, it's really our one chance to get a whole bunch of information from a bunch of people. I mean, they kick off this training session with distinguished presenters, Amy Klobuchar with Tele Reports, Tina Smith, Bob Stuber. Like, they're all great people and understand what these operators, and it's not just the operators, it's the Minnesota Department of Health people, the Minnesota Pollution Control people, plus all the engineers that want to be there, and of course trying to solicit your business as well as giving you new information. So everybody focused on lead copper. Big thing after Michigan, there's money out there for lead copper. They're gonna keep on supporting that, so that's why we need to continue doing our LSL, our lead service line inventory. So like I said, we've only got about 60, 70 things left. That's good. They recognize they wanna get it all done. They offered that second round of grant funding. Tracy's already signed up to have Bullock Engineer help us with that. When we get down to them last 20, we're gonna figure out a plan. I'm glad to have an engineer on board to help us do that. The test areas that they started to do this stuff was Duluth and St. Paul. So they've actually paid the homeowners in Duluth and St. Paul to get that lead service line, galvanized line out of their house. The actual bills have been coming between $10,000 and $20,000 because of course you have to rip up the concrete or bore a hole, you cut a hole in people's basements and stuff. So it's a dramatic deal. Right now, Bird Island's got about 15 lead service lines that we know we have to replace. So they just announced at the conference that they're opening the cities up to not just Duluth and St. Paul, but other cities will be able to do that. So that information will be coming down the pipeline. And we need to complete our LSL inventory and know what we got before we jump into that program.
Dave, when it comes time to replace those lines, what is the responsibility of the homeowner? What do they have to do?
Well, what the MDH is trying to set it up is it's 100% grant money, so they don't tell you no. Okay, the big hang up on this for the last year is, okay, who pays the tax on that value? So if the tax people held this up and they're working on it, they still don't know what the city side of it is, but it's out there. So it's a homeowner side, city side. MDH knows that it's gonna be tough for us to do city side. And one of the most cost-effective ways to know what city side is, you place those cast iron lines, and you got it taken care of. So they might be pushing harder than that. We're gonna have to get every one of those lines potholed that we don't know where it is. So it's kind of smart to replace in your main so you can take care of those. That's we talked about Elm Street down there, and we took it off for the same reasons. This pile of money's gonna be there for a while.
But at
again,
the
it's
same time, the
across-
city has to replace, or the city is replacing, does the homeowner then have to dig up and replace something at the same time?
The grant that MDH is working on is for the homeowner side, not the city side
Okay.
this time. Yeah, exactly. What I'm concerned about is we've got about 20 blocks of old cast iron and that's the only ones that can have these lead service lines. The PVC lines and even the ductile iron that we have are not gonna have lead service lines. And once we get this inventory done, we'll know. That those old 4-inch mains have got lead joints in them. So are they gonna be on the list to get down the road? Yes, they are, but they wanna complete the homeowner stuff first is what the MDH's focus is on. So the lead joints in all these lines, the city feeds a chemical called polyphosphate and orthophosphate. And what that does is it lines our water lines and keeps the chemicals, metals from the pipe from leaching in the water, okay? When we flush, we do flushing for 2 reasons. We want to get all that biofilm out of the cast iron that likes to attach to iron more than the PVC, so we're flushing that out plus the residual of the iron that's settled in the line. We got a lot of iron in our water. We don't take it all out. Some of it still gets into town, and the flushing helps us clean that out and get the old water out of the lines and put new water in. And we monitor that by chlorine testing, just so you know. So we've got, we'll always lose our chlorine values on these old cast iron lines. It's not the matter of just the old, let's get new where the old is, it's still water quality problems. I already said the wellhead protection plan, went classes on that, everybody's doing that, people are getting audited, and there's good information on how to secure funding, on identifying, monitoring wells when we do our wellhead protection plan, as well as how to avoid an audit. So Tracy and I will be getting together with Robin here, and that's the person that was helping us with other grants and stuff in the past. Deb and I originally put that program together with somebody from Minnesota Department of Health. I don't remember who her name was, but so this will be the first time that Rural Water will be helping us on that. The other thing that's coming down the pipeline is the lead copper location certification. A lot of you guys got bottles, they fill these up in the morning. We had to do it a couple of years ago. Well, now because there's so much money thrown in this lead copper deal, we've got to certify those houses where we're passing the bottles out to getting all the tier 1s, tier 2s before we do the tier 3s. And so that's a process that has to be done before our next lead copper collection, which is not until next year, but this has to be done before October this year. So they're getting really tough on lead and copper. They started out with 15 parts per million, that was allowable. Then they went to 10 parts per million, and now the schools are only 5 parts per million. So they're getting tough on this stuff. And it just seems like we're always getting more stuff sent down our throat from Minnesota Department of Health, which is important when we start talking about our water plant, and what we have to do to the water plant to stay current. Now, the city's water supply out there has got ammonia in it, and a lot of ammonia. So I tie the ammonia up with chlorine to make a disinfectant called chloramines. The advantage to having chloramines is that water is gonna be disinfected longer when it's tied up as a chloramine compared to just free chlorine. The disadvantage is the excess ammonia causes nitrification, especially the old 4-inch cast iron lines. They like attaching that stuff to the old lines. So I'm concerned about that. Minnesota Department of Health tests for that with THMs and halic acids, but they don't specifically test for nitrification. So we can help slow down the nitrification by more flushing. So when you get people saying, well, why are you doing all that flushing? Guess what? We're slowing down nitrification, getting that out of the water, getting that biofilm out of the old lines. I'm worried about it, what's coming down the line. We're gonna be doing more testings, PFAs, you know, the forever chemicals that you hear. There's gonna be water stuff that we have to be testing for, and also sewer stuff. So Olivia is ahead of us on this curve. They're putting a whole bunch of money in their water plant. They're already looking at this. And, down the road, I've said it before, I'm gonna say it again, it might be to our benefit to be asking them for water instead of putting a whole bunch of money into refurbishing this plant to take out the PFAS and to handle our nitrification problem. And so just be aware of that. This is my opportunity to share what these engineers, Minnesota Department of Health and MPCA are telling us what's coming down the road. MPCA tooted their own horn down there. They did a really good job on their phosphorus management plan, they said. They made all the cities, identify where their phosphorus sources is. So, and we did 2 phosphorus management plans in my tenure. We were able to lower our phosphorus. We had a success story just like the whole state did, but now they're also gonna be going after nitrogen and sulfates. Now nitrogen to us farmers, that's fertilizer. So what's being promoted is irrigation. So instead of it going down the ditch, guess what? A lot of cities are looking at irrigation. The city has land and there's stuff out there. Just put that on your radar that that's coming down there, because they're gonna keep on pushing more stuff down the road on us. So thanks for giving me an opportunity to share what I learned at that conference, just so you can think about, okay, how important there is it to do these water lines? Yes, we gotta wait for funding, but there's gonna be other problems, if we don't handle it. Any questions?
All right, thank you. There's nothing further for Dave? Great. Thanks, Dave. Possible joint seal coat project with Olivia.
So I'd gotten an email from, must be one of their engineers the city of Olivia is gonna be doing a seal coat project, and they were just kind of wanted to reach out to us and see if we would be interested in joining them if we had any roads in town that we wanted to do a seal coat project with.
When are they doing theirs?
But she did not give me specific dates and I wasn't sure. So I'm not exactly sure as to when time-wise their
How soon
plan
do
is.
they want to know if we want to collaborate on
They didn't tell me that part either.
I think we should do more seal coating.
Um,
I think some of the cracks we gotta fill them up, maybe a little patching with it. I could be sitting in my kitchen and I know somebody's coming by, not by seeing them, but oh, certain cracks, so.
2020 was the last seal coat, and we generally do the whole town.
And all the time.
But then the crack filling obviously has to get done before that.
Before that, yeah.
so-
mhm.
So at the 2020s, I don't know if we were doing 6.
it? Is there a benefit to scheduling or doing a joint project? I suppose once the equipment and everybody's in the area.
I
Is there
don't think we say that,
We
like,
didn't save any money last time
No.
we did that, yeah.
and the thing being is because we do our whole town. Like, and Olivia does sections, so I think they're doing some probably every year, maybe. I don't know, but they don't do it all at once. We save that money, like 70 grand or whatever gets put away. Hopefully that's enough for when,
So I'm not, from the maintenance side, I'm not interested in pairing with them. I thank them for asking, but we're still too far out for our next coat. And as Brian Catherine said, he'd like to also review our streets and give us their advice on it. So I would, in my opinion, we should pass on the offer and say thank you.
I assume they're looking at doing it this summer.
Yeah, they're doing it this year, 2025 is when they're doing it.
I don't know that we're in a position to
Jump in and.
jump in and do that this year. I agree. I think we have to give Oleg time to look at the streets and give an evaluation of where they're at, what grade they get. And see what their recommendation is on crack filling. But if the city of Olivia does theirs, they do sections every year. And there's nothing to say that in the future, it will be beneficial to partner. Thoughts?
I think I would prefer that we get the full analysis.
Yeah, I'll see what Chief thinks.
Okay, spring cleanup flyer.
So this, I didn't really make any changes. I did go through and, we got the dumpster secured for that. I reached out a couple different ones. The one company never really got back to me on it, so, but I did then check the prices on the stuff and that all seemed to look okay and stuff, so I just wanna make sure that this flyer's okay to go out. I know we approved dates last time, but then we're still kind of doing some updating.
Fine, me.
You need a motion?
Something was written in years past, so.
It was.
There was, I was gonna say, I thought we took action on it last.
We did take action on the dates.
Oh.
The dates.
I'll make a motion to approve the spring cleanup. What do we call this?
Flyer.
Flyer. That's presented.
Also,
Motion and second to approve the City of Bear Island spring cleanup flyer as presented. Any further discussion? Not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Dave, I'll help with one of those days again.
You see?
I'll do one of those days again.
Oh, you're so helpful there, and you can see all the people, and your help is appreciated, believe me.
All right, and then there's one other item that did not make the, agenda that I wanted to add to it and just kind of give an update on the public works supervisor ad. So we have had it in, been advertising for a couple of weeks. We've got, multiple, applications already. We've had even more applications go out than we've gotten in. And so I kind of want to get the council's feel as to if you'd like me to run it for a couple more weeks or what your thoughts are. I do think we do have a couple of people that we could potentially interview. So what I was kind of thinking, I guess my recommendation would be to run it for the ads for an additional 2 weeks yet. And then when we do run it this next time, kind of put some dates on there where before we just kind of left it open as,
Open until filled.
open until filled. I would still leave that in there, but I would like to add in that we're hopefully going to be doing interviews or would like to start scheduling interviews maybe at the end of March, beginning of April. And then depending on how the interviews go, if we do get them all done at the beginning of April, we could maybe have a decision made by the April meeting to be able to take action on with a potential start date of May 1st is kind of what I was looking at. So I wanted to give the council's feel and thoughts on
Do
that.
you have a current vetting process when reviewing applications?
Not like anything set in stone, not yet. I've gotten multiples, but I don't have like a
I
lot.
don't think we actually had it's not like we get like tons and
Yeah.
tons of, when we're hiring people, so
Right.
maybe.
But I'm just saying, when you
couple
look at a
Yeah.
resume too,
Yeah,
or the application, and you're like, they clearly don't have the credentials
Right.
that will be needed. Why,
Yeah.
we're not going to waste our time interviewing that person.
Yep,
So there's gotta be some criteria.
yep. And I've kind of looked at that, and so I would not interview all of the candidates that we have received based on the obvious first review.
Do we have council members that want to sit in on those? To be filled as?
so it'll be two.
Mhm.
Do we know, Dave, when you're going to, this person's taking his position, right? Okay.
Yes.
Um,
I think the plan was kind of to see what we get for applicants and whether they come with experience or how much training they may need and,
And if they're qualified, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Go from there. And Dave's not allowed to quit until we.
I said I was gonna retire at 25. so I'm slipping.
There's 9 months left. All right. we'll figure that out then.
Yeah.
I'd like to be on an interview, and Bill does.
So advertise for another
I
couple
think
weeks
so.
and then see what we get and kind of put the dates on there and go from there.
I think March might be too soon for interviews, maybe.
Maybe, maybe not. Like if I'm,
No?
if I'm gonna start the advertising down, but
You
Like
can leave it
beginning of
open and
April.
still start, if you've got good candidates, there's
Mhm.
nothing to say we can't interview them,
before,
yeah.
So when they ask what would be a starting date?
well, based on the way I had kind of laid it out, I was thinking potentially May 1st. And that might be pushing it, because depending on when we can get interviews, all the interviews done, and then when we can have it approved by the council.
So that person would then have the job Dave has now on May 1st. That's what your plan would be? Or who, I just trying to see how that, how it all works.
They would start the training process that day. I
Okay.
don't know if I would necessarily put them as the actual supervisor to one.
Okay, well, they're, all that
Yeah.
have to be spelled out to whoever it is. They're gonna wanna know what's expected.
What do you wanna do, May 1st or May 5th?
Well, I went with May 1st because of payroll and it's just easier to start things on the first of the month. And yes, I realize it's in the middle of the week. I looked at that.
be Krista that grabbed that and did it, to be honest.
That's been fun, yeah.
I mean,
Okay, thanks for updating my plan.
I really think it does make a difference who you get, if it's a greenhorn, you know, you got somebody that's experienced, could have been,
Yeah, I think it
Let's
just
do it.
depends.
so.
Like a class A or B. First lesson.
Well, we can work those
The
details out.
Dusty has his water and wastewater,
Mm-hmm.
so we're good there, so.
I say yes, advertise for another 2 weeks and see what comes in.
Yep.
Okay.
And see where we're at. And if we start doing interviews and we interview and.
If we don't like anyone, we can keep advertising again
just-
potentially.
Yes,
Can you say how many have applied so far?
I have about 3 so far.
Okay.
good. Well, we're competing with Hector, they're advertising as well.
Yes.
All right, is there anything else the council wishes to discuss at this time? If not, we will officially close the meeting. Meeting adjourned.